Welcome back to a new video, everybody. This time on the road in the Neo EL6. That's what it's called here in Germany, or ES6 in China. You'll get a separate video on my review of the car and comparing it to the other cars that are previously driven by Neo. But the topic of this video is about battery swapping and the ongoing discussions, mainly between Tesla bulls and Neo shareholder, if you will. The main argument that I sometimes hear in the comment section is that Tesla was right to ditch the technology early on, and simply because, you know, Elon Musk is the godfather of EVs out there. He's right and Neo's wrong, basically, right? So that's what I usually get in the comment section. By the way, always curious to hear your comments, so please also leave it this time after smashing a like and hopefully subscribing to this channel. But now first let me get a massage. Hi Naomi.
Hey.
Mach die Massage an.
Okay.
Alright, here we go. Now, the argument that I often hear from Tesla bulls is that Elon Musk has the better tech capabilities and grasp, and therefore he always makes the right decision on when it comes to technology versus others, right? And you need to know that this channel is not by a Tesla hater. In fact, it's one of my largest stock holdings positions, so I'm actually bullish on Tesla, although I mentioned in previous videos that I have some certain reservations on the state of Tesla in China currently. But I'm certainly nobody hating on Tesla. And I really don't like all of those Tesla bulls who really just have one viewpoint on EVs in general and hate on competition. But no, that's for another story. Now let's talk about battery swapping, which Tesla has done in the past years ago. And I'll show you a video here about Elon Musk pitching the technology. I think that was back in, I don't know the year, but it might have been an Investors Day where he pitched the benefits of battery swapping, of course, how fast it's going to replenish power and stuff. And Tesla's had for some time battery swapping. If I recall it right, there has been a tiny group of around 100 Tesla owners that had battery swapping access, and that was in California. It's a small, early adopter test group, and basically they didn't like it. And the question is, did they not like it because of the technology, or was it maybe a flawed system? And also the second question would be, why did Tesla do battery swapping in the first place? And I have my suspicions why they've done it in the first place, and that's because Tesla back in the days has been a very startup stage company, just as Neo is today. And in those days, Tesla was obviously also grasping foreign money. So Tesla had quite a few problems also in the early stages with becoming a profitable business. And now the thing was that there was so-called environmental credits in California for battery swappable vehicles. And I think Tesla possibly did see an opportunity with that, and not so much really buy into the technology in the first place. I don't know it for sure, right? You can look up the fact that there is subsidies for battery swappable vehicles in the US, and that Tesla got a couple of subsidies by that. That's indisputable. I can only make assumptions whether or not it was the case that Tesla went into the technology only for the subsidies, or even if they thought at that point that battery swapping is also a technically viable way to go forward, right? But anyways, they've done it, and now it's an easy way for them out after getting the subsidies to kind of ditch the technology and after receiving the money, and basically saying, it's not worth it. On the other hand, they had 100 users and testing it with them, and obviously they didn't see any benefit with it, right? I think there have been comments before also by other Tesla executives that superchargers have been used more. And I have to say, currently, so I've now been driving to Italy, from Germany to Italy, back to Germany, and these are thousands of kilometers, and I've not been using battery swapping once, because simply there wasn't a battery swap station on the road. And did I have any issues? No, I didn't have any issues. It's always great, and I make another video about my charging experience, but I can easily make the case that supercharging is enough by itself, right? And so that was kind of the same argument where they said, users don't need swappable cars if there is supercharging. Again, this is of course only coming down to those minor reasons of saving time for replenishing power. As you know, possibly there are many more benefits towards battery swapping, and surely they might be interesting for Tesla, for example, recycling battery, energy arbitrage trading for battery swap stations and so on, which is now coming online. And the thing is, Tesla is always very good at marketing, right? And now they are going out and being very offensive against battery swapping, of course, because now one of their competitors, NIO, is having battery swapping in the mass market and has commercialized it. And usually the argument that you hear by the Tesla bulls, but also Tesla executives, is that battery swapping is too cost heavy, right? But as I mentioned on the video on the channel before, I think this year could be the time when we see that battery swapping will actually become a profitable business with various revenue streams. We now have the news that in China we have a big partnership for arbitrage trading, grid balancing, and so on. So these are additional revenue streams on top of the fact that they are now also, of course, charging for battery swapping and so on, right? So the arguments against profitability of battery swapping are becoming less and less. Now it's maybe based down to technical arguments, whether or not you really need it as a way of recharging the car quickly. And I think 100 people in this target group in California simply is not enough to make the case whether or not that's sustainable as a business and from a user perspective, right? So the fact that I didn't go beyond those 100 people to ask makes me rather lean towards the argument that they really only adopted battery swapping for a short period in order to get these subsidies, which possibly have been crucial to the business, but not really meant it as a real tryout for battery swapping and how you can commercialize it, how you can make it actually a long-lasting, important part of the business model, right? But in China, it's different. First of all, you have a very different geography in China. You have a density of the population, and then a player like NIO, who's demonstrated battery swapping, and many more people than 100, obviously, and many more battery swap stations. Now we have millions of swaps validating the business, that it can also scale, that you can build 1,000 battery swap stations in just 1 year. Everything like that wasn't simply possible for Elon Musk back then and for Tesla. And so, yes, it was possibly the right move for them to ditch the technology and scale out of it and become faster, profitable differently. But for NIO, that's just not the case. And for NIO, it has actually added a moat and a defensible business, an unfair advantage, if you will. And I think in the future, actually billions of potentials in revenues on a quite interesting emerging business on the energy sector. And so, again, I just can repeat myself here. I don't think the fact that Elon Musk and Tesla have not continued with this battery swapping technology is an argument that I would follow on and agreeing and say, like, yes, NIO did definitely an error here. On the contrary, I think it was just not the right time for Tesla back then, and now I'm kind of just seeing through their arguments here and don't think they are much more valued at this point in time and countering the argument against battery swapping. But again, that's just my personal opinion, not financial advice. Let me know your comments again in the comment section. Maybe you didn't know before that Tesla did this because of getting subsidies, and that may hopefully bring some new insights to you. Thanks for watching. See you in my next videos.